It is clearly racist. From a purely financial, there are moral reasons, and everyone's spoken about them, and I agree with them 100%. From a purely financial reason, we now have two people that have been misidentified, which will likely cost the city millions of dollars in lawsuits. I rather would suggest that the Dataworks money that was to be directed to Dataworks go to things like recreation centers, pre-K childhood supports, and jobs. Again, let's get rid of Dataworks. I yield my time.
Thank you. Next caller, please.
Next, we have caller 662.
Caller 662. You're muted.
Hello. My name is Julia Sossin. I live in Hamtramck, but I frequently come to Detroit to buy groceries, bank, recreate, volunteer. I urge the committee to not extend funding to Dataworks Plus for their facial recognition software. I would like to see a ban on the technology because not only does it not prevent crime, but it has me worried about the safety of my Black friends and neighbors. It also has me worried about my safety when I come to Detroit. So I yield my time.
Thank you. Next caller, please.
Next, we have Liza Balby.
Ms. Balby. Ms. Balby, you're muted.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now. You have 1 minute.
Great. I got your survey, Councilman Benson. I'm in District 3. I think it's great that you want to hear about how the public feels about the police, but it was a little bit disingenuous because the questions are pretty biased in how they're framed. So I hope you're not going to use that to justify any action or inaction on some of this police stuff. But I think you'd find out if you did survey the public that the public is not in support of facial recognition technology. And I'm saying this coming out of Banglatown, where some of the most highly surveilled communities in the United States, our Muslim neighbors, are living. I really think people are not for it. I encourage you to come out here and talk to the people in Banglatown about why they don't want to be surveilled. We need to ban facial recognition technology, and I don't understand who has the power because both you and the Board of Police Commissioners are shirking this responsibility, and it's serious. Like, people's lives are on the line. So I'm just, as your citizen, as your constituents, I'm urging you, please come talk to the Muslim community. They're not on this call because people are working, and Detroit has an access problem.
Thank you, Ms. Balby. That is your time. Thank you. And I just want to let all my callers know that we did send out a survey that was written and requested to be sent out via text service by the Detroit Police Department. So that is not my creation. I'm simply forwarding something on. They were hoping to get feedback. Next caller, please.
Next, we have Alex.
Alex, you have 1 minute. Alex, you have 1 minute. Alex, you're muted.
Hi. I'm here also to urge against the use of facial recognition tech in Detroit. This tech is flawed in a way that misidentifies POC at just like an appalling rate. It's not something that people want in our communities, and it's not something that will make us safer. And people know that and are paying attention. I yield my time.
Thank you, Alex. Next caller, please.
Next, we have Rebecca.
Rebecca, you have 1 minute. Rebecca, you're muted.
Okay. Hi. So I am here also to speak about the Dataworks contract. A lot of people have already made the sort of points that are continually raised about concerns over the racial implications of this technology. I think the thing that I want to speak to is maybe a little bit more complex, which is just the way that the use of this technology, I think, really preys on legitimate fears that people in the community have about their safety. And I really don't think that implementing this kind of technology is the best way to address community fears about safety. I mean, I think that if, as some of the other callers have mentioned, I think that my neighbors and the people in my community are, I think a lot of folks just don't necessarily understand the implications of this technology. I think a lot of the business owners don't understand the ways that Project Greenlight is being used for facial recognition. I think that we see in these other communities, mostly other white communities, that there are these bans coming forward against this technology, specifically because people don't understand the full effects of it. And I really would hate for Detroit to be the sort of test bed or the laboratory to work out all the
Ms. Rebecca, your time is up. Thank you for calling. Next caller, please. Boyle, you're muted. You're unmuted now. That is your time, Mr. Boyle. Thank you very much. Staff, next caller, please.
Next, we have Patrick ONG or Patrick Ong.
Mr. Patrick.
Hello? Well, if you can't, I'm here to urge the committee to deny DPD's request to extend its contract with Dataworks. Back in June, Chief.
1 minute, sir, and you're muted. You're scared. You.
Can you hear me now?
No. We can hear you.
All right. I'm here to urge the committee to deny DPD's request to extend its contract with Dataworks. Chief Craig is even on the record stating that the software, if used alone, misidentifies people 96% of the time. And it just shows how the service or the software isn't really up to speed with where it needs to be in order to be used as a tool with the police. So I believe you should ban the use of the surveillance technology just because it's not in the right time and or space to be used. I yield my time.
Thank you very much. Staff, next caller.
Next, we have Peter Blackmer.
Mr. Blackmer, you have 1 minute.
Good morning. Resident of District 6, calling to urge council members to reject DPD's request for continuation of the Dataworks Plus contract. In addition to all the points that callers have made in regards to the way that this technology is not useful in actually reducing crime in our city and for all the dangers that it brings for the expansion of the police state in the city of Detroit. For every dollar that DPD and the city have spent on surveillance technology is every dollar that could have been spent actually addressing the real causes of public safety in this city. We need to be investing in housing, in employment, in public health, in recreation and education, rather than policing in this city. Let's deal with the root causes rather than symptoms and not bring greater violence into this city. Yield my time.
All right, thank you. Staff, next caller, please.
Next, we have, and this is our final hand, Mr. Chair, Ms. Maddox.
Okay, so I see number 662. Is that no longer?
We have taken care of them, Mr. Chair.
Got it. All right, Ms. Maddox, you have, please. You can start now. You're unmuted.
Okay, good morning and good day to you all.
Hello, Ms. Maddox.
My comment is regards to the those captions. Please make sure that those captions are still not working before city council meetings. How we as a community work together to benefit us all, not getting notices of meetings when we need to make ASL accommodations 78 hours before city council meeting. So it's still not working. And for those of us who are deaf and hard of hearing need closed captions and ASL. So, and another issue is that is that in the issue of this recognition, facial recognition, because people with cerebral palsy, MS, their face expression may change. And please do not use facial recognition right now, because we still don't understand how it's being used, why it's being used. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Maddox. All right, that now closes public comment. Do we have, to the administration, do we have all of our participants in the 10:06 a.m. discussion?
William Collins, Denise. Oh, yep, we're all set.
All right, if you can bring everybody forward, staff. Mr. Collins, if you could turn on your camera, please. All right. If you all could please introduce yourselves for the record, who you represent.
Good morning, Ron Brenish, Director of DPW.
Doug Collins, Superintendent of Solid Waste.
Timothy Hess, Advanced Disposal General Manager.
All right. Member McAllister, you made a request to have Advanced Disposal come in and talk about the solid waste process. You can lead it off, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, members, for being here. Yeah, there has just been several complaints regarding pickup, regarding dumpage in the area. And I have spoken with both DPW and Advance. And so what I like is, and what I really wanted, there were several people, Mr. Chair, that wanted to just make comments. And those are really the folks that I wanted to have public comment so that the Advance and DPW could hear what their concerns were. But these are the concerns of people. And a lot of it is, I think, is people just need to be have additional education regarding, what they can put out, when they can put it out, what the rotations are, and just the education piece. So what I like, and I've discussed it with both parties, so if they can just address some of the issues that you can educate our public on, I would like to turn it over to them, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Mr. Brundage.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and also thank you, Member McAllister, for giving us this opportunity, to continue our education process, to making residents, informed of what they should expect and maybe what they shouldn't expect from our contractor advanced disposal on the west side. And of course, the same thing would apply for GFL. This services the east side neighborhoods. Obviously, this year has been extremely unique and in many facets, but as it relates to the amount of debris that we're seeing, unfortunately, throughout West Side neighborhoods, it's been extremely different and challenging compared to the first 6.5 years that we've had contractors providing various solid waste collection services. We really felt that if, for those of us that have been longtime residents of the city, and we remember how the city, unfortunately looked 8 or 9 years ago with the amount of illegal dumping that was occurring throughout, many neighborhoods throughout the city, not just on the west side, compared to what we had really started to see, especially the last 2 or 3 years. And this was a result of not only our contractors providing, their scheduled collections at curbside, but also we've got Doug Collins, or William Collins, our solid waste superintendent, on the call, what he's been able to put in place with regards to having dedicated DPW employees or DPW staff just dedicated to clearing illegal dump sites, and, having the ability to have a contractor focus on scheduled collections, curbside, and having DPW having the ability to deal with illegal dumping, had really put us in a position, where the city was significantly cleaner than it had been in prior years. The reality is that we took a step back this year, and, people can kind of surmise as to, what factors contributed to it, whether they felt that, people being at home for, the increased number of hours during the day, whether people are doing more work on their properties and setting out, more bulk items in quantities that are, more excessive, than what not only what we had seen in the past, but really, what is above and beyond, what our contractor is legally responsible for picking up. But the ultimate bottom line is that I don't think any of us are going to deny that, what we've seen out there this year, and especially on the west side of the city, is not what our citizens deserve. And this gives us an opportunity to kind of talk through how we can all work together, to ultimately get our city back to a point where it's as clean as possible. And obviously, we've made no secret from the department side, from the administration side, in terms of our position that advanced disposal hasn't always completely adhered to the requirements of the contract. For those of you, that saw some of the mayor's charter mandated community meetings on the west side of the city, you heard several complaints from citizens, that talked about, their belief or opinion that they didn't feel that Advance was providing service in an appropriate manner. And, the administration and Advance, we're dealing with that. We've been meeting with Advance, and we do have some additional steps that we're going to be taking to, so that it's very clear to Advance, what the contractual responsibilities are and what our expectations are. And that's a separate conversation. But for this meeting, and I know Advance has a presentation that they're going to go through. I think, as Councilmember McAllister indicated, it really provides a great opportunity for us to get information out to the public, and we'll continue with this. But because one of the things that, that we did see is that in many instances, complaints that were attributed to Advance not providing services, when Mr. Collins was sending his inspectors out to see what actually occurred, a lot of it was, because the debris was being set out that wasn't fully, in alignment or compliant with, what residents can put out and where they can put it out. So we're definitely going to, on the administration side, make certain that we're doing everything that we have to do to ensure that, Advance adheres to all of the terms of the contract. But we also want to be fair. We also want to be appropriate and acknowledge that in all cases, or in some cases, it is important that, that we do a better job from the administration side or DPW side of making sure our residents understand, what their requirements are, when they're setting out debris especially on their biweekly bulk day. So So with that, I guess I think I'll turn it over to the folks from Advanced Disposal and give them an opportunity to go through their presentation.
Thanks, Ron. I'm going to try to share the screen here.
To staff, did we give authorization? Yep, yes we did.
Can you guys see my screen?
We can see it.
All right, if you go to slide 2 here, where we can see, here's some of the stops that driving through the city of Detroit, stops that are out of compliance, that have been tagged in front of homes. As we can see, a lot of this is due to, we believe, COVID, being home, being in the house, cleaning majority of their house out, putting it to the curbs. So here's some pictures that we have. We have more, but we just wanted to give just a glimpse of what we're seeing from our side as well. Going into the slide 3, here's our City of Detroit call activity. As you can see, starting in May of 19, year over year into May, the calls increase dramatically, May, June, July, and August of 2020. And you'll see that in the next slide going down, the volumes of the trash have increased, which means the calls have increased. In here, as you can see in the light blue, is 2019. This is the total waste. And here's the volumes for 2020. You got the MSW for trash, same kind of line going through. Yard waste,
what is MSW?
That's going to be your trash, bulk and household trash.
And that's municipal solid waste.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Here goes the numbers month over month. As you can see, from May of 2020 till August of 2020, the increase of volume in MSW has gone up 22% in May, 24% in June, 23% in July, and 47.45% in August. And for the year date, we're about 19% year over year increase. Yard waste, we're at 6.32 increase. The month of August, we were 118% increase in the month of August. For recycling, we've gone up 33% in August, and for the year, we're up 22%, or a total increase of 18% total year. But as you can see in August, we took in 49.9% more volume overall for the month of August, and we believe a lot of this is due to the COVID of being everybody being at home. And then as we get into the tag compliance summary, this is a summary of 2020. You can see since March, we were at 245.
Tag summary is probably jargon. Can you explain what that means to our audience?
Yeah.
So Councilman, let me jump in on this one, and Tim, I'll turn it right back over to you. Councilman, Member Chair, one of the requirements that we have in our contract with Advanced Disposal is that, and we anticipated that there would be situations where residents would put debris out, especially bulk and yard waste on their biweekly collection days. We anticipated that there would be occasions when debris would be set out either in a manner or the volume exceeded what the contract requires them to pick up. So we put a requirement in the contract that whenever Advance, or we'll just say Advance in this case, but whenever our contractor would come to a location where they felt that what was set out wasn't their contractual requirement, they would be required to tag that location so that the resident is aware, of why it wasn't picked up. But more importantly, they're also required to inform our solid waste division at the end of that same day so that DPW is aware that debris at this location wasn't picked up. So we could then start our internal process of investigating the location, determine whether or not it was Advance's responsibility. And then if we confirm that it wasn't, then we start our process, which ultimately would end with either the property owner removing the debris or DPW picking it up and holding the property owner financially responsible for. So this tag component is extremely important because, for every location, that Advance comes to, where, for whatever reason, their driver doesn't pick the debris up, it is their responsibility to let us know in every case that it wasn't picked up, so that, our internal mechanism can be triggered, which can ultimately end up with the debris being collected. Okay, Tim.
Okay.
Thanks, Ron.
Thank you.
Yeah, as you can see, the report that we give to the city every night, this is just a breakdown of the month, how many stops that we've turned into the city. So since March, we had 245. And as you can see on the right-hand side, the increase over March. April, we were 195%. We had to tag more, all the way up to 887% in August. You can see the tags have gone up for out of compliance stops over the months. And again, due to COVID, everybody being home, cleaning up large piles that just are not in compliance to the contract. These are the tags, and anything that's in here, we've tagged and given this address to the city for them to follow up on. Going into the last slide, here's some improvement initiatives that we're doing as a company. Due to COVID-19 and the resulting substantially increased volumes, here's some of the initiatives that we've taken as a company. We've hired an additional residential dispatcher for the city of Detroit, which gives us a total of 4 residential dispatchers monitor our third eye, which is our GPS unit for our trucks, which it gives you more real-time, better time issue resolution for follow-up. If there's a missed pickup that gets called in or something, an issue gets called in, we can get it out to the supervisor, which can be there in a matter of minutes to correct the issue or see what's going on. We've hired an additional route supervisor to the city of Detroit, giving us a total of 4 supervisors. It's going to be giving us more supervision in the streets, which will ensure that the drivers are completing their routes and that the drivers are tagging stops that are out of compliance and reporting the addresses to the city. Tag stops have doubled since June and are going to continue to make sure that we are tagging stops that are out of compliance. Another step that we've taken is we've added Saturday crews assigned to areas in which community groups are emphasizing and assisting in cleanup illegal dumping. And Richard Burke is setting crews up on Saturday. We have a sign-up sheet on Saturdays. We have, I think, 6, 7, 8 crews out there for the last 4 or 5 Saturdays now, cleaning up in areas where we feel and where the city feels that we need to go into. We are re-emphasizing compliance rules with our drivers, while at the same time allowing for relaxed stringency and border compliance situations, which means if it's borderline at 2 yards, if it's in compliance, pick it up. So those are some of the improvements that we're doing as a company. Any questions?
All right, that completes your presentation?
Yes, sir.
Member McAllister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Mr. Hess, thank you for that presentation, and as well as Director Brundage for that. Just a few things. Yeah, I think that it should be also noted that to let our residents know that a lot of times they put out black bags, black plastic bags. They put their leaves in those. Those will not be picked up by Advance. But, and, the other issue that, we have is, a lot of times we have tree limbs that they fall because of the trees, for whatever reason may fall and fall in front of a person's residence. And so, I have talked to Mr. Bird, and I have to commend him because every time I speak with him and talk to him, he does send a truck out to assist whatever issues there are. But one of the things, Mr. Hess, when we were talking about during Advance's contract negotiations, I know that GFL on the east side picks up just enormous amount. And, I've spoken to the folks on the east side, and they said that they are very, well, most are satisfied with the pickup over there. And it seems like that here with Advance is like pick and choose. I mean, I've even had people call my office making complaints that Advance will see debris and just drive by it. Now, I don't know if that's because their truck is filled and they have to come back, but they do not come back. The other issue is people have been told that Advance will not pick up debris that is in an abandoned dwelling, in front of an abandoned dwelling. And so these are some of the things of concerns that I have with Advance, because again, it's about making sure that our neighborhoods are clean. And Director Brundage, two questions to you, sir. First of all, is GFL having these same complaints? Because one of the things Mr. Hess has brought out is because of the pandemic, we have a number of people that are, of course, working and, cleaning their yards, cleaning their homes and putting out this. And I don't know, so I have to ask you because you see both sides. So my first question is the East Side disposal company also people having the same complaints? And the other question is, what happened? Because I know one of the things when we negotiated was in the first contract with Advance, they were not picking up as much as they should have been. And this, I thought that was my understanding, that would be the additional in their contract. But it seems like they are not following that. So, these are the things that I'm looking at, and these are the complaints that I'm having. Like I said, there was a number of people that wanted to call in. So I'm trying to remember all of the things that have been hit with me that's just been hit so many, as well as the recycling pickups.
So through the chair, Member McAllister, I think I'll take your second question first with regards to the Advance's contractual responsibilities for debris that's in front of vacant lots or vacant abandoned structures. We do have a separate component or item that's in the contract that specifically details their responsibilities for debris pickup in front of vacant properties. And we pay them separately for service to be provided in front of vacant properties. Per the terms of the contract, they're required, as long as the debris is not construction debris or hazardous material, they're required to pick up to 5 cubic yards of debris that's in front of vacant properties, as long as it's at, curbside between the sidewalk and the street. Their responsibility, and this is on the biweekly bulk collection day, their responsibilities in front of occupied properties is that they're required to pick up to 2 cubic yards of debris, bulk debris in front of occupied properties. You're 100% correct that one of the biggest areas of complaints that we've received is related to bulk items and bulk, in a lot of cases, yard waste debris that was set out in front of vacant lots that the contractors didn't pick up. And Advance did provide some examples in their presentation, of some of the scenarios where the debris was obviously, much greater than the 5 cubic yards that they're required to pick up. But first and foremost, their contractual responsibility is that they are required to pick up to 5 cubic yards of debris if it's in front of vacant properties. Your second question, as it relates to a comparison between GFL on the east side and Advance on the west side, the obvious reality is that the number of complaints that we receive on the west side is substantially greater than what we get on the east side. And it doesn't necessarily mean that residents on the east side, aren't doing the same thing that residents are on the west side. But GFL has taken an approach whereby, they've taken an approach, whereby, they've been committed to, picking everything up, even if it was in excess of what they're contractually required to pick up. This is not something that we demanded of them, because we can't contractually demand it of them, but this is just the position that they've taken. And as a result of that, that particular approach, it's resulted in a significantly lesser amount of complaints compared to what we get on the west side of the